Have you noticed how conflicting messages have been increasing lately? Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Silver Dad Knows. Remember, always live with no edits. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button now, as you're going to like what I'm about to say. So, yes, right here to my left, beautiful, elegant, and nostalgic. You know, to my understanding, The Lion King was the first film that I ever saw in movie theaters with my parents, actually. And the year was like 1994. I might have been a week or two old. Why the heck would you take a 2-week-old baby to the movie theater? That's beyond me. But regardless, I was taken. And it's a memory that both my mother and father talk about to this day. And I talk to so many people, and they just adore this movie, you know, from children to grown adults. This is a film that, for many of us, there's a special place for it. Very, very great memories. And yes, you know, this was the memorable Disney that we want to remember. Kind of like the Michael Jackson that we want to remember. This is the Disney that we want to remember, not the woke Disney. Not the plastic surgery, wacko jacko, but the good Disney. So yes, from the Queensland Mint, here we have a 1-ounce 2020 Silver Disney Lion King Circle of Life piece. You go to the verse, and it features Ian Rank Broadley's Queen Elizabeth II, surrounded by the country and face value. Then you go to the reverse, and we see a display of Rafiki standing on Pride Rock while holding up baby Simba. Below this is the Disney logo and the Lion King engraved on the coin. Also included is the metal content, purity, and Disney copyright for further authentication. Currently, I'm seeing these for around $46 with free shipping. That's not bad. I would think that these would have already hit $55. So if you can get it for $46 with free shipping, that is actually a very decent deal right now, and I would act on it. Real quick before I continue, I want to give a quick shout out, and this is to the Glasser60, a comment from yesterday. Of course, those billionaires knew things were going to change. They're the ones pulling the strings that are leading to the changes. Most certainly. And aside from these billionaires and these industry titans alike, there is something more superior than the elite. And when I say more superior than an elite, I'm talking about the super class. I'm talking about 1% of the elite. You know, a lot of these individuals go beyond financial gain. These people own industries, they own land, they own far beyond what money can pay for. And if money was going to pay for it, it would take an enormous amount that would be quite costly, even for a billionaire like Elon Musk. But more notably, have you noticed how conflicting messages have been increasing lately? One day, Fed Chair Powell assures us the U.S. economy is doing exceptionally well. He cites discussions with international colleagues who agree the U.S. has performed well compared to other advanced economies. Then the next day, Treasury Secretary Yellen admits that the process of de-dollarization is weakening the dollar. The day after that, another Fed official claims inflation is heading toward the 2% target, encouraging us to feel optimistic. The day after that, well, you know how the story goes. I recently read a fascinating report published by the IMF a couple of weeks ago. Despite our skepticism about official data, this report is worth paying attention to. The IMF finally admitted that the surge in U.S. debt poses risks not just to the U.S. economy, but to the global economy as well. This context is crucial. We often discuss the national debt crisis in isolation, but in the worst case scenario, it means devastating blows to European economies and significant damage elsewhere. The IMF is very concerned that the slowing US economy and persistent inflation is pushing us into a global recession. Two major red flags are budget deficits and surging debt loads. The IMF warns that these factors pose a growing risk to the global economy. As we approach the elections, neither party is likely to prioritize reducing national debt. The debt ceiling, suspended in 2023, will need to be addressed again in 2025, which is why so many experts are convinced that it doesn't matter who gets elected, anywhere from October to March, maybe even up to April, there will be some sort of financial collapse. And this is experts across the board already warning about this. Congress will either raise the ceiling or face the possibility of a U.S. default. The scenario leaves us with no good options, either more debt or default. The IMF also warns that central banks may have to keep borrowing costs high to combat inflation, further complicating economic recovery. So, what does this all mean for us? It's more important than ever to prepare for an economic downturn. Silver, in particular, is a crucial asset to consider. Unlike paper currencies, silver holds intrinsic value and acts as a hedge against inflation and economic instability. Investing in silver now will protect your wealth and provide a safety net during these uncertain times. And that is one of the reasons why this channel exists and why I continue to stack silver, not every month, every week. And if I had it my way, I would be stacking it every single day. So yes, 1945. The Walking Liberty half dollar is an iconic piece of American coinage because it was wholly unique when it was first introduced all the way back in the early 20th century. These coins were not only larger than any coin being circulated at the time, they were offered in denomination never before seen in the U.S. Nowadays, the coins have since had their production ceased, but are extremely popular among collectors. The value for a 1945 half dollar ranges between $15 to $30, in good condition, of course, with its value going up gradually. And that's why these the Walking Liberties and the Franklin half dollars, they're just no-brainers. The Walking Liberty half dollar was introduced in three major mints in the USA. And of course, you already know it, the Philadelphia, San Francisco, and the Denver Mint. Their production ended in 1947, while the first Walking Liberty half dollars were minted in 1916. I believe the oldest one I have right now is like from 1921. But yes, the 1945 year was important in the U.S. economy in terms of recovering after World War II. Averagely, all three mints produced about 7.5 million half dollars every year, with these values fluctuating every year. So yes, stunning. And if you didn't already know, these designs were so glorified that they were put on the American Eagles, which were introduced in 1986. And yes, folks, you already know it. You go to my description, you're going to see that I am a published author. My third book was just published a few weeks ago. And I would say this is by far my best novel to date. It is a sports epic, a sports thriller, but it transcends that. It goes far beyond the baseball diamond. You enter the human experience, betrayal, gambling, addiction, just the deepest things when it comes to our loved ones. This book has it. And again, it is the greatest baseball story ever, but it is so much more than just baseball. So I highly encourage it to you. If you go to my author page on Amazon, you'll see that I also wrote a dark comedy, which is hilarious. And then I also wrote a crime thriller last summer, which is highly entertaining. All books are different from each other. They are not for children. I would encourage, if you do have teenagers, yeah, they can read it. 14 years old and above, they can read my material. But folks, as always, thank you so much for joining us for another evening of Silver Dad Knows. God bless you. God bless your household. And as always, God bless America.